Alright, kettle's just come up to the boil. Give us a sec, I'm going to make a brew and then we're going to go through some of your questions. I say some of your questions, one of them really. I'll see you in a sec. Now then, I apologise if the audio isn't up to its normal standard. I've had to send the microphone away for repair. So, one of, or the question that I want to answer today is a simple one and a quick one. And then we're going to get on to actually doing some sowing and planting. But the question I've been getting over the last sort of 3 weeks is, oh, now you're doing your fishing, is that it for the garden? Or for the allotment? No, it's really not. Regular viewers will know two things. Number one is I will never put content out for the sake of just slamming out content. I will, you know, I'm not going to do a 20-minute video of me tidying up the garden. If it's just me tidying up the garden, I don't think that's what you guys want to see. It's certainly not the type of content I've put out in the past. Number two is, and I'm going to show you this, we are, where are we? 14th of February. The last sort of bit of work I did down on the plot with the seed sowing on the 9th of Jan. And back in the 9th of Jan, you should be able to, I do believe I will have said in the video that the weather conditions were horrendous then. Well, today is the first day I've been able to come down the plot to actually be able to do some recording. I've obviously been coming down, taking care of the chickens, making sure everything's okay. Which is what I'm going to, which is why I say I'm not just going to throw out content for the sake of throwing out content. I could have filmed me coming and mucking out the chickens and put that on there for something for you to watch, but you know, I don't think it's what you guys are here to see. Let me know in the comments below if it is. So yes, we're going to get to doing some planting today. One of the main bugbears in the Sutton Seed mystery box were the onion sets. A lot of people saying, well, what they're sending onion sets for? You can still put them in spring. I mean, it's technically it's still autumn. So we're going to put them in a tray of compost and get them sprouting, because I can't put them out in the soil. So I'm going to show you that in a second. I'm going to show you why I've not been doing any work down in the allotment, why you've not had any allotment videos. In fact, let's do that. Let's show you. One sec, guys. Oh, wind took the door. We'll actually have a quick plot talk, because there's a couple of questions that I've seen being asked in Facebook groups about sort of how vegetables are looking. So we will have a bit of a look out on the plot as well, but I'm not going to do a plot talk, and you'll see why. But yeah, this is why I've not done any filming down on the allotment. It's been like this for 2 weeks. The 2 weeks prior to this, it did not but rain. So pretty much since the 9th of January, the conditions have been unsuitable to do anything to the soil. You dig the soil when it's too wet and you damage the soil structure. Dig it when it's frozen, you damage the soil structure and you damage yourself, because it's too much like hard. It's too hard. Not too much like hard work, although it is. You know, it's pointless. You do more harm than good digging in these conditions. One of the questions that I do want to ask is, a lot of people I've seen, on the likes of Facebook and places like that, saying, well, are my broad beans okay? They're looking really sorry for themselves, you know, they've all gone floppy doppy. If they're proper autumn sowing beans, they will be fine. Believe me, they will be fine. They may look really sad for themselves now, but they will be fine. Same goes for your onions. Mine are under the snow there. Autumn flowering bulbs, they're starting to show up. And your garlic. It may look a bit sorry for itself, but all its energy is currently being put into making a nice strong root system underground. So don't worry about it. Chickens are all nice and happy. The chicken run, like I said, the ground is frozen solid. This is inside a covered water butt, this ice. If I can pick it up, there you go. That's probably 20 mil thick. And the rest, that's in a covered water butt. even, just to show you, so I'm going to re-sow some of these, the leeks, the ground's just frozen solid. These seed trays, for example, absolutely ice cubed. So we're going to re-sow some. I won't bother filming that, but we are going to re-sow. But what I have got is some new stuff for that you can be sowing this time of year, and I do recommend, if your conditions are like mine, keep them in. I did do a video where I did potted these guys up, these rosemary and thymes, and I did actually do some herb sowing at home. So the video today is going to be largely showing you what you can sow, but there is some sowings that I'm going to do now. So I'll get you back on the tripod. Apologies for the light and the angle, for the sound and the angle now. Yeah, the tripod that I use down the plot is suffering with the cold as well. I need a new one really, but I can't afford one. Right, so first thing we're going to do is a bit of an experiment. I've seen a few other YouTubers do this. Now these are some, not in the best shape, but these are some Purple Majesty potatoes that I saved from last season. Oh, was it last? Yeah, I found them in the soil last season. There should be some more somewhere, but I can't find them. I'll probably find them in the middle of summer and they'll have taken over the bag that they're in. They did have a couple of long chits on them, but there's still a couple of eyes left on them that's active. What I'm going to do with these guys is something that I've seen a couple of other sort of bigger YouTubers do. See if I can get a... Oh, I don't have any. But you know, sort of the solo cup, sort of pot noodle size containers, and they'll put a potato in. Now I believe it's largely mostly used for new potatoes, of which these are not. They're a purple potato. To buy them in the shops are extremely expensive. So I've got this little diddy one and this one, and just as an experiment I'm going to put them in these 2 litre containers. What I am going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of mounding up just to save on compost, just in case they don't fire. So I'm going to half fill these pots, and well, I'm going to quarter fill, put the potato in, then I'm going to half fill and take them home, give them some water, some food and some heat, and see if they come up. I'm not going to leave anything that I'm sowing today, I'm not going to leave here. Time marches on, we're now into February, and a lot of the brassica that I wanted, excuse me, has all gone to waste because the even in the polytunnel it's frozen solid. Normally for us here in Scunthorpe it would have been a relatively safe sign to sow these things and leave them in a polytunnel or a greenhouse. But this year we're having unusually low temperatures, the likes of which really in the 5 years I've been growing here we have not seen. You know, fleece is useless. There's just no defending against it. So yeah, so these both had chits on them and they've both got eyes left on them, so we'll pop them in, just one in each pot. And like I say, I'm not holding out much hope, so I'm just putting a little bit of compost. Now I'm using a multi-purpose as opposed to a seed and cutting, because obviously these guys are going to want food pretty much straight away. I have got some more multi-purpose at home. Now mounding them up is going to be difficult, but all I'm going to do is as soon as I see activity, I'll just fill them back out. I'll just fill them over completely, up to the top. Make sure you get a half decent compaction. Don't leave the compost too loose for your potatoes. No, I'm going to be drinking some compost. Yeah, so I'm going to take them home. I'm not even going to water them down here because I've been warned I have to look after this new car. So I've put tray in the boot, and these are going to go home. And in fact, like I said, the majority of what I saw today are going to go home, including these guys. So what we're going to put these onions in, we're going to put them in a seed and cutting. No, for the price of the seed and cutting, I'm going to put them in multi-purpose. The multi-purpose is obviously more expensive, but you get twice the amount for the same money. So compost. What I was just debating what to put them in, because in actual fact I've got some trays at home that they could sit in, that they'd just be quite happy in. I don't want to, normally I'd use these guys, these cells, but it's actually not as many. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first is I'm quickly just going to sort through them, just checking for any soft squishy ones. They'll be thrown out, any rotten ones, anything like that. A lot of these have spoiled, but they've been sat in that box since I received the mystery box. I mean, God, how long ago was that? So, but yeah, a lot of people say, you know, autumn planting onions. You can still sow them. All these little bitty ones, they probably would grow, but I'm not going to worry about them. I'm just going to use these trays from Sutton's, guys. Out of that entire basket or net, I've only kept maybe about a dozen. But you know what, we'll throw them in. I'll put them in multi-purpose. So onion set, pointy bit, not so pointy bit, also known as the basil plate. Pointy bit, not so pointy bit, not so pointy bit down. Now for your onion sets, really, they do want to be at least sort of halfway under the soil. Onion roots are very easy to separate, same as leek roots. So, you know, don't worry about whether you're going to be able to separate them out. They're quite chunky roots, so I wouldn't worry about them too much. They're going to be in here for around 3 to 4 weeks. Normally I would put them obviously straight outside, but my ground's frozen solid, so it'll kill them. So this will give them a little bit of a start. There we go, 12 sat in there, a little bit of a start. The compost will be reusable because the onions won't take that much out of it. So just top it up with a bit of food and it'll be good to go again. So I'll get the rest of these done, then we'll have a look at what else you can be sowing this time of year. Going back to what I was saying about what you can sow now, what I'm going to sow now is pretty much what you've already seen me sow, which is some more leeks, but I'm going to do them in shallower trays this time because, well, because I need to. I've got Brussels sprouts, all year round collie, cabbage primo, cabbage red flare, this is wet through, onions, spring onions, ishikura. This is some really old seeds, some lettuce all year round, try and get some early lettuce, some cabbages, greyhound, and then I'm going to do a tray of another tray of onions from seed. So let's get on. You've seen me sow seeds 1,000 times, but what I'm going to do is whilst I'm doing it, I'm going to talk about some of the other things, because what I've been looking for, and the reason I sort of had to break off filming, is some seeds that I've forgotten to bring down with me. Now is a good time to be sowing a lot of your herbs. So your rosemary, your thyme, your parsley, your mint, your sage, your tarragon, basil. I think you can even get away with doing some chives now. They can all be put in now. So if, like me, you're trying to get a herb garden built up, If you're going to start them from seed, you can start them now. If you've got a B&Q nearby, however, the two that I've potted on, I'll get them for you. Well, no, you've seen them outside. The two that you saw me pot on, they were in little, you know, little 9cm pots in B&Q for £1 each. I really am tempted to go back and see if they've got a couple more, but that's a bargain. I would recommend that immensely. But those are some of the things you can sow now. I know a lot of other YouTubers are saying, oh, you can sow your tomatoes, and you can if you've got heat and light like I have. But even though I've got heat and light, I'm still not doing my tomatoes now. We'll revisit tomatoes. Where are we? I know I've already looked at this, I think, on video, but we are currently the 14th of Feb, Valentine's Day. I'm not going to revisit looking at tomatoes until at least the 1st of March. So probably the first video in March is probably going to be the next time I'm even going to think about it. So yeah, I'll get on. I'm going to do some onions in more of these trays that came from Sutton's. I'm going to do them in a multi-purpose because they're going to stay in there a little bit longer than most other seeds. I need to go see what it is that's banging around on the shed, because there shouldn't be anything loose. Oh, I know what. Yes, yeah, I know what it'll be the felt. I didn't do a very good job with the felt. So yeah, I'm just going to do a couple of trays. I'm not going to do loads of the two types of onions, so the Ishikura and the Elisa Craig. I'm going to take the time to module sow these, or station sow these. I certainly will with the spring onions, because they do a lot better bunched. The Elisa Craig I'm just going to broadcast sow. Same with the leeks. I'm going to do a tray or two more leeks. And that's going to be it today. So I'll get those done. But for the video, I think I'm going to call it there. You don't need me to see you don't need to see how to sow seeds. Tell you what I will do is I'll show you the three main types. So I'll do the station, the two types that I'm going to do actually in this video. The station sowing in these open trays, and I'll show you the broadcast sowing. So I'll show you that, and then that's going to be it for today's video. Please do remember, I don't put content out for the sake of putting content out. You know, I try to show you all things when it's relevant. So please do like, share and subscribe. It helps me out immensely. Welcome to all the new subscribers, which reminds me, I had a lady messaging me the other day asking about the magazines. What I would do is I'd go buy one of the magazines over the counter, and I'd get one of these slips. However, what I can do actually, I don't know how you would go about redeeming it, and I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but there's an offer code there. The offer code is KGINS45, expires the 5th of... It's already expired. This must have been in an older magazine. Ignore that. But you can generally get this leaflet in every issue of the magazine. Like I said, and the reason I bring it up is because she said she doesn't really want the seeds, but she likes the idea of the content of the magazines. That's the way to go. So let's get these prepped because my battery's running out. So I'll show you the seed tray as I'm doing it. So this is going to be a broadcast sow seed tray. So don't forget a little bit of compost on there. Try and remove any lumps, and then I'll go around, compact it all down, get it to a nice-ish level. I do like these square bottom scoops. I don't care about the colour, they're very functional. What was I going to put in here? Broadcast sown was going to be Elisa Craig onions, wasn't it? So we'll get these. Oh, it's getting cold in shed now. And all we're going to do is we're just going to open up the seed packet. That's where these little foil packets actually come in really handy. Open it up and then create a little spout. Yeah, little crease, little spout. And then we're just going to gently, because whilst I am just broadcasting, I don't want it to be sort of too dense in some areas. And it's as simple as that. Tap out the onions, tap out the seeds. Now here's one of the most important things when it comes to onions. Cover them up, not too thickly, he says, chucking on a load of compost. Ideally I would have liked to have used vermiculite to cover them, but I haven't got any yet. Make sure there's no lumps, because that will stump your onion seeds. Spread it out. And then what you need to do is the onions need good contact. So tamp your tray back down again. Tamp your compost down onto the top of your compost, onto the top of your onions. Nice and firm. And whilst that will slow down how quickly they breach the surface, if you haven't got something like this, just use the bottom of another identical tray. Just go around and put some pressure on it. Tamp them down. We'll label these. He says, realising that last time we had nothing to write on labels with. Did we, boys and girls? Meh, sharpen this. So what did we do? We did onion, Elisa Craig. And like I say, as with everything else that I'm sowing today, they are all going home with me. Mrs is going to flip, but you know, well, she's not going to flip. You all know Tony by now. You know that she's happy for me to bring stuff home because she sees the benefit. You know, done right, an allotment doesn't need to cost the earth. Done right, an allotment will save you money. On average, the allotment saves us a couple of £1,000s a year. So, and that's with all the projects that I do. So we'll just quickly, I'll just get the station sowing ready for the spring onions. Battery's running out quick, so we'll quickly rattle through this, and then that'll be it from me today. Flatten it out. And for this next step, you could use a pencil, a pen, the back of a paintbrush, anything really. I've got this little dibber here that I've just put a piece of tape on, and that just kind of tells me how deep I want to go. And we'll go around, and I'm going to stagger the holes. That means sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3 in the diagonal gap. I mean, spring onions are quite happy to go together, but this will just help in retrieval. Like I say, ideally with these being onions, I would cover them with vermiculite, but I don't have any. So these are Ishikura spring onions. Last year I did Guardsman. I must admit I really liked Guardsman, but there's nothing wrong with Ishikura. I don't actually know if I'm going to have enough seed here, but you're aiming for sort of 2 or 3 per hole, and then what that'll do for you, fingertips are wet, I didn't realise the seeds weren't coming off my fingertips, and what that'll do for you is it'll give you some nice little sort of bunches that you can just pick the whole bunch when it's time to harvest these seeds. Might mean that a couple of my bunches will be a bit thicker, but you can always thin them. You know, if you only want 1 or 2 onions and you've got a bunch of 6 or 7, you can just take 1 or 2 with minimal disturbance to the rest of the onions. Yeah, we'll sow the rest of this packet. There we go. And then these station sowings, really, what I will do is, once again, but I'm not going to use the scoop this time, is I'm just going to sprinkle on the compost. Because I've already sown in holes, you're already deep enough for the seed, so you don't really want to be adding a great deal of depth for the seed to try and grow through. I'm not firming this down anywhere near as much as I did with the others. I'm just trying to make sure that it's filled in those holes. There's a spring onion ishikura. So next on the agenda for me is going to be to sow another tray of leeks. For you, it's going to be to press that like, share and subscribe button, and I'll see you later.